We used to do a night at Mr. Head's every Friday, and it lasted like 5.5 years. And then when that night ended, I didn't want to just do another like DJ night. I was kind of bored of it and over it. And so I talked to Rock, we got together and just kind of like, we've always talked about doing a pushing buttons type night like that, where we bring out the gear and show people, and it's like chords, and it's a huge wow factor, you know. And it just worked out. He was down with it, talked to them at Flycatcher, and from then on, and it picked up really quick. And the more people that played with us that was just into electronic, it would just kind of realize, hey, we're using all the same like analog gear, synths, samplers, drum machine, like everything. We're using the same gear, we're just making different music.
When I first got here, I was just bringing sound systems to existing club nights that already happened. We did stuff at a club called Sharks on Sunday night. It was house music. Fat Entertainment got their start shows there and stuff.
Is Shark still around?
And no, it's a different venue now. This last year's been a good year for Tucson. There's a lot of new blood and new fresh energy coming in, and then the older, some older stuff has been holding its ground as well. There's been different clubs being remodeled downtown and different stuff, so there's a lot of changes for Tucson in the last year for sure.
So you've been throwing parties since 1993.
1991.
1991.
Yeah.
It's 2018.
Yeah.
You've been in the game a long time. How does that feel to be doing this shit for that long?
It feels pretty good. I mean, it's cool that music and the energy just keeps expanding. I've actually been clubbing. I went out dancing every night since 1980. 1980. There was a teen dance club in Seattle that we'd go to, and it was open until 5 in the morning from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And it was all new wave music, but we'd go and hang out there 3 or 4 nights a week on school nights. So we'd get home at 5 in the morning and then lay down for 2 hours and then get up and go to wood shop or whatever. I've done sound for years, and I used to have a car and home stereo shop before I did pro sound. So I've always been into sound systems and stuff, but when I got into the pro sound and I started putting it into nightclubs, and then I've had multiple systems that I would lease to different clubs. So in Seattle, in a 2-block radius, I had 4 or 5 sound systems at different nightclubs. And so you'd be walking from one club to the other, and you'd hear the next music from the next system that you had created, and you'd go in there and there's 500 people dancing that don't know who you are or know anything about you, but they're touched by the music that the way you dialed the sound system in made them dance or made them have a great time. And then you walk a couple more blocks and there's another place with people that are going off. And so it does feel good to be responsible for that many people, like letting loose and enjoying themselves.
Once you have this, the phase where like you're spontaneous and you have some sort of positive feedback, and then you try to reiterate the phenomenon, you become serialized, and you have to face, the problem of, okay, I was doing that because I wanted to do it, and it was cool, and I just did it. Now, what keeps me doing it? And how do I maintain the freshness of something that was spontaneous and successful? How do I keep that? We're not doing this for business. We're not doing this for money. It's not our job. So life happens, and you can only sacrifice so much of your time and effort and money to something. And when the initial strength, burst of energy kind of fades, and goes down, then what's gonna keep you going? That's the main challenge.
So in 2015, a pretty key thing happened that I think was influential on the scene in Tucson. And that was myself and my colleague Elio Sottoscritti, we started the night Chateau Disco. And that was an event at the Flycatcher that was a monthly club night based around deep house and techno and tech house. And so he and I partnered on that for a few months. We eventually went our separate ways, and Elio and some other people went on to found Dazed and Confused. And for a while, in early 2016, both Chateau Disco and Dazed and Confused were both active and giving people some really high quality options to go out, see, pretty large and successful DJs that Dazed and Confused was bringing, as well as great local DJs. And at Chateau Disco, we focused on local DJs, giving them a chance to perform in a more professional kind of environment. So I think that raised the bar for people that were throwing events for different promoters and organizers as well as DJs. And I think the legacy, which Dazed and Confused is still going on and still very successful. I think they're really one of the most successful groups that's been able to have some staying power in this town, which is really tough to do from what I've seen. And there are ups and downs to the size of the town and the scene for sure. Just the simple fact that it's a much smaller town means that the people that are involved have a chance to be more prominent than they would be in some huge scene like LA or Berlin. So, chances are I would never be able to be on an FM radio show if I lived in Berlin, probably. So I'm very thankful for that. And it is true to get the opportunity to have more of an impact in the place where you are. And that's a big reason why I've been very thankful that I've been able to be involved in the community in Tucson, really more than anywhere else I've ever lived. At the same time, though, the amount of far-reaching impact you may have may not be as significant, just because you're probably playing to the same few hundred people or the same few hundred, maybe a few thousand listeners on the radio if you're lucky, with some change here and there and things come and go, but the overall hub, the overall nucleus is pretty small.